competition, right? So what happened, like one day, one guy just like us, what he did, he gathered all the chess books. Basically, right now in this world, there are thousands and thousands of grandmasters right now in this world, thousands and thousands of grandmasters. And one guy, what he did, like he gathered all the chess books written by all those grandmasters and he studied them. And what he found out was like there are certain points that are similar, that are common in all the grandmasters book. So that means from there we can say there are few things that each one of them are following in the game. There are few rules, there are few fundamentals, there's something that is common that they are following through and through their game. So from there we got our opening fundamentals. This is, we can also call it as a golden rule or kind of a guideline. It basically it directs us to a certain way of opening our game, right? It's an effective way to open up our game in the most effective manner. The first rule is about the center. The first rule says control the center. Control the center. This is the first guideline, or you can say the first opening fundamental. Control the center. Why should we control the center? Okay, nice, nice. So as Kailash mentioned over here, if we talk about the black knight over here, where the black knight can actually go, what are the squares where the black knight can actually go to? If you see it, the knight can go to d8, d6, d5, and a5. So these are the 4 squares where the knight can go. Talking about the white knight, if we see, the white knight can go to e6, d5, d3, d2, f2, g3, g5, and f6. So there's a difference between these two knights. One knight is placed on the center square, the knight is away from the center square. The knight which is away from the center, what we can see that is covering just 4 squares. And the knight which is placed on the center, it is covering almost the double of what that knight on b7 is doing, right? Right. So from here, we can say the pieces which are on the center, they have a higher piece activity. What I mean to say is they have more opportunities, they have more squares to go to. Can we say a chessboard is a war zone between two brains, between two sides, white side and black side? Can we say this?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Let's say we divide this war zone, we divide this chessboard in 4 equal halves. Let's say here is one line, this is second line. Okay. Let's say there are 2 armies, there are 2 countries who are fighting with each other, right? A country has a more versatile army, an army which can, like India's army, it can be in water, it can be in glaciers, it can be in air, like very versatile army. And on the other hand, we have an army from a different country who are not versatile. They cannot, tolerate heat, or they cannot tolerate the cold. That, let's say there are 4 war zones. Let's name them. This is war zone number 1. This is war zone number 2. 2. This is 3. 3. And this is 4. So we've got 4 war zones. Let's say there are some attacks, there's some strategy that is happening in war zone number 1. Whose knight will be more active? Whose knight is close in the war zone 1? The black knight. So in zone 1, the black has more control. Can we say this? Like, who will have more control, white or black?
Black.
Black.
Black will have more control. So in zone number 1, black will have control. Okay, so let's mark it. Let's put a red color, right? Or let's write just the black over here. In war zone 1, who is controlling? Black is in control. Okay. In war zone number 2, if there are some attacks happening, something is going on over here, which knight will help us first? The white knight will help, or the black knight will reach there? Which knight will go there first? The white knight or the black knight?
White knight.
That
2, 3, and
means
4, it is white.
in second zone as well, the second zone, in the second zone, the white knight will reach there. So the second zone is controlled by the white side. Similarly, in the third zone, the white is itself in the third zone, right? So automatically then white got the third zone as well. But how about the fourth zone? What is happening in the fourth zone? Who got more control, white or black?
Again,
White.
it is white.
Again, this is white. So we can see the knight which was in one quadrant in zone 1, that is controlling that the single zone, zone 1, that's it. But the knight which is in the center, not only it is controlling the third zone where it is right now, but also second, like 3 zones are under control just by a single knight. So there is the difference. Let's say you are attacking somewhere. Let's say there's an attack going on. There's a checkmate attack we are trying to do on zone number 2. There's a checkmate attack that we are planning to do. So the pieces which will reach there to help you will lead to a more effective attack, right? If there is an attack going on in zone 2, the faster you pieces is gonna reach to your aid, the more effective the attack will be. Everyone agrees to this?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So far, any doubts?
No, it's
Can you
clear.
please repeat once again? I missed out.
Okay, so what we discussed over here about the piece placement. Let's say one knight is placed on the center, which is on e4, and the other knight is placed away from the center. So what we were discussing is, let's say there is a certain attack going on this second quadrant, right? So the knight which will reach there to help us, or the faster the pieces are reaching to help us, that particular side will have the advantage. Let's say there's an attack going on. This black knight will take one move and second move to reach there. But on the other hand, talking about the white side, white is already reaching there. If you see, white knight is reaching in all the quadrants. If you see all the 8 squares where the knight can go right now, all the 8 squares are like at least 2 squares are there in all the quadrants, right? So the knight is already reaching in all the 4 quadrants. So that is the effective knight activity from the center. That is what we were discussing. I hope this clears the doubt.
Yeah, now clear. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So let's move on to the second point. Let's write the second point over here. The second point says, move your pieces towards the center. CENTER, center. Move your pieces towards the center. Let's erase this. Okay. Let's erase few things. Yeah. Okay. So the second point says we should move our pieces towards the center. Why we should move our pieces towards the center? Any ideas? Why should we move our pieces towards the center?
You have more area to move on.
We have more area to move on.
More area to
Right.
capture.
More area to capture. More area to capture, more area to move on. Okay, 2 points. The first point says control the center. The second point says move your pieces towards the center. Okay. We know the center squares are d4, d5 and e4, e5. Okay. We need to move our pieces towards the center. Let's say white is moving the pieces towards f3. Black is moving his pieces towards a6. Which knight went towards the center and which knight moved away from the center?
White move towards the center and the black towards the corner.
Yes. So what we can see is the white knight is moving towards the center to these center squares, and the black knight, they moved away from the center. Okay, now let's see what's the difference between these two knights. the white knight is not on the center squares, it just moved towards the center, right? So what are the possible squares where the knight can move? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 possible squares. The knight can go to d2 and h2, but because they are white pieces, the knight can't go. Again, the knight can even go to e1, but because there are a few white pieces, that's why the knight can't go to those squares, right? Talking about the black knight can go to, okay, this time I want parents to answer where the black knight can go to. What are the possible squares?
G8,
G8.
G8,
F5,
f5,
G4.
g4. Okay. Is there any other square?
F5.
f5. We marked f5.
Yeah,
Okay.
only 3.
Okay, only 3. The knight can
But
not go to, yeah.
yeah,
It
it
can
is
move to
F7 also, but there is a piece, that's why it cannot move there.
Exactly, because there's a f7 pawn, the knight can't go there. But if you move that f7 pawn, the knight can go
Then
to f7 square.
yes.
So basically, again, what we can see is the white knight is still capturing 8 squares, and the black knight is capturing 4. It's like white knight is double active than the black knight, right? Again, we can say so. Okay. Now let's talk about bishops. Right, let's talk about the bishops. Let's do a normal gameplay. Let's say e4. Even the pawns are moving towards the center. Whenever you have seen you have seen your kids, they always say the coach told me to play my pawn on e4 and d4. Kids always say that, or kids always play pawn to e4 move or pawn to d4 move. They always do so. But why they are doing this move? Why only these moves only? Why? The reason is this: move your pieces towards the center. Even the pawn we are moving, the first move is the pawn moving towards the center in order to control these two center squares. One is on e4, where the pawn is currently going. Another one is the square d5, where it is attacking. This is a major reason students play the pawn on e4 or the pawn on d4. Let's say black plays something like e5. Again, black also responds like that. Black 2 says, I will play my pawn towards the center and I will attack on the center square. So this is the major reason of why we should move the pawn towards the center. The reason is to control the center. Basically, it's a follow-up point for the first fundamental. Control the center. But how can we control the center? First one is a statement, and the second one is additional, basically is explaining how can we do the first point, how can we achieve the first goal. The first point says control the center, but how? Move your pieces toward the center will be controlled. Again, how? We will again take an example of a knight. Let's say this time d4, pawn is controlling, d5. White plays knight to c3, black plays knight to h6. The white knight is attacking 2 center squares. The black knight is attacking none of the center squares, not even reaching one of the center squares. So this is why we say move your pieces towards the center. In order we can control the center. So parents, any doubts so far?
It's clear.
What if this black also moves towards center and the white also moves towards center?
What happens when black and white moves towards the center? Yes, a very good question. Let's say again a game is going on. A game happens on this. Basically, the entire game, the first 15 to 20 moves, the game is all about struggle to control the center. It's a constant struggle that is going on between white and black to control the center. If you actually see the moves carefully, you will understand both the sides are trying to control the center on their own way. First, white tries to play pawn e5. There is an entire game that is going to happen. Let's say white plays pawn to e4. Idea of white is to control the center. What center squares? One is d5, one is e4. Black played e5. Idea, control the center squares, d4 and e5. White played knight to f3. Idea, attack the pawn, which is on the center, and also try to control the square on d4. Black also tries to control the center over here by playing knight to c6. Why knight to c6? Knight is moving towards the center. following the second fundamental. Also, it is attacking on d4 and protecting the pawn on e5, which is also on a center square. Let's say now it is white's turn. White will play the other knight on c3. Why other knight on c3? This knight is attacking on, again, one d5 square, other e4 square. This knight, e5 and e4. Both the knights together, they are attacking on the center squares. Let's make it red. Yeah. Both the knight together, they're attacking the center. This time, let's say black tries to do something different. Black plays bishop to c5. Why bishop to c5? The bishop was on f8. We moved it to f5. Can we say the bishop moved towards the center square? It was away and now it moved close to the center square. Can we say this?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Yes.
The bishop moved towards the center square. And when the bishop is moving towards the center square, the thing is, now what the magic is going on is, the bishop is attacking on the center square. The bishop is attacking on the center square. That is one thing. But the activity that the bishop is showing on c5 is totally different. If you look, the number of squares that the bishop is covering, it's quite a nice number. Like, can anybody tell me, like, how many squares does this bishop is actually covering? Like, how many
5?
squares does 5? Okay,
10.
5, 9,
9 squares.
5, 9, 10. Okay. Okay, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you count the square where the bishop is currently placed, it will be 10.
Okay,
So 9 and 10 are correct. 9 and 10, they both are correct. Okay, so the bishop is alone controlling 10 squares. That's a huge number. That's a huge number. Okay, so just see. We are moving our pieces towards the center just to control the center. But these things are byproduct that is happening to us, right? Our pieces are automatically becoming active just by placing them near the center, not even on the center, just near the center. The bishop is not even on the center. These are the center squares and the bishop is not on the center. It is near the center, and see the power that the bishop is emitting from c5 square. So this is why it is mentioned, move your pieces towards the center. The more the pieces will be active, the better they are gonna perform. Basically, there's the attack. Let's say now I'm planning to do a checkmate. I'm planning to do queen f6 and trying to do a checkmate over here. Then there are plans that might happen. There are certain plans that we can go with. But in order to execute any plan, the first thing we require is active pieces. If the pieces will not be active, we cannot even plan, because the pieces are at their home sleeping, like these pieces right now. This bishop is sleeping, this knight is sleeping, this rook is sleeping. They're still on their starting square. Until unless they are outside, they can't help us with our plan. So first thing to do is make our pieces active. Okay. Third thing. Let's move on to our third point. The third point says castle early. Why should we castle early? Anyone? Why should we castle early? Why the castle is important? To save the king. Okay. Castle early.
Yeah, to move like a king in a corner so that there will be less places from where attack can happen. Because like if it's in the middle, there are more chances, like or more pieces can attack.
So defending the king.
To defend the king. Okay.
Protect the king.
Protect the king. Okay. So just now what we have discussed, all the pieces are moving toward the center. The first point says control the center. Pieces are moving towards the center. All the struggling is happening for the center, right? It's like center is so important right now. All the pieces are moving towards the center. Because of this, the entire center is a red zone for the king. If the king remains on the center files, what are the center files? These two files are called the center files, the D file and the E file. These two are known as the center files. If the king remain on the center file, the king will get covered in those attacks. The king will get occupied in those attacks, and maybe a quick checkmate might happen. So in order to save our king, we should do a quick castle. Let's have a quick example over here, right? Let's say again, I'm going to take a super simple example, e4, e5, a normal game, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop b5, castle. White does a castle and black is not doing a castle. Let's say d6, d4, castle, I mean capture, capture. Bishop will move somewhere, maybe like bishop d7, attack. Okay, we have this position, we have this random position over on the board, right? We have this random position over to the board. If you are moving the pawn forward, when the pawn will get captured out, when these two pawns will be gone after the capture, can we say that d file and the e file, they both are under attack by the queen and the rook? And because the king is in center, it will be quite problematic for the black side to handle the situation. As soon as the white pawn will go, there will be attack onto the black king. But in comparison to the black king, talking about the white king is totally free, right? Free from any attack that might happen to it. There are no black pieces that are actually reaching to the king. But because there was a struggle on the center, the black king is in danger right now. As soon as this, let's say pawn takes pawn, rook takes the pawn, the king is in danger. If the king moves, castle is broken. Now it can no longer do a castle. And the entire center is falling for the white. The entire central is getting controlled by the white side. And we say this.
Yeah, that's correct.
And, yeah. And because one of our pieces on the center, it is attacking such nicely. Because black didn't do a castle in time, white is having a nice advantage over here. Just see the space that the white pieces are currently covering. So many arrows though. Okay, these I'm just marking the squares where the white pieces are currently attacking. You can get an idea what happens to those who controls the center. These green squares shows where our pieces can go basically. What are these squares that we are controlling right now? These are some squares that the white pieces are currently controlling. So you can see the difference. Like almost, we can say, almost all the board is covered by the green squares. The white is controlling those squares. So yeah, doing a castle in time, doing a castle early, it is very important. If you're not doing in time, then something like this can happen to us. What is happening to the black right now? So doing a castle as soon as possible, it is really important. It is suggested when we are doing this opening moves like e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, after bishop to c4, after bishop to c4 and bishop to e7, we should directly do a castle. Like directly do a castle. Given that all the pieces are safe. If there are some pieces which are in danger, then do not go for a castle, save that piece and then go for a castle. Or everything is safe, simply go for a castle. Castling early is really important. Okay. Fourth point. The fourth point says, don't make too many pawn moves. Don't make too many pawn moves. What can we understand from this? Don't make too many pawn moves. And why is this rule even there? Don't make too many pawn moves. It is not something related to the center. Yes, sir?
Yeah, pawn is there to protect rather than the attack. So you should limit the move of pawns.
Okay, that's a good explanation. That is one good explanation. Nice. Anyone else want to add? There are other points too.
It becomes very easy for the opponent to attack our pieces.
It is very easy for our opponent to attack our pieces. Okay, that is also a nice point.
Most of the valued pieces would be exposed. That's right.
Most of the valuable pieces will be exposed. Okay, that is an important point. Okay, we will see that point while after we are doing a castle, what is happening if you push the pawn forward. Okay, that is one important point. So let's see what is happening, right? Again, let's take an example of a game, a real life game that was played e4, e5, e4, e5, knight f3, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e5. A normal game. All the pieces are moving towards the center. Both the sides are following the opening fundamentals that we have discussed, right? Bishop e7, white played knight c3, castle happened. Okay, over here, there's a difference now. Over here, white plays pawn to h4, pawn to h4. Black plays pawn d6. White plays knight to h2, bishop d6, pawn to g4. Okay, this kind of position is there now. Let's say I ask all of you to analyze this position and tell me which king is more safe. The white king is more safe or the black king is more safe? Is
Black
the white
king is
king
safe.
safe?
Black is more
King is
safe.
safe. Black king is safe. Why the black king is safe?
There are less openings. Like
More
it's kind of
pawn are
a,
there.
there are not many openings compared to like white. White there are so many opening blocks where opponent can enter.
There's so many holes from where the opponent can enter. Okay. The castle word came from this thing only. The king is surrounded by its pieces. That is what we are calling as a castle. The king is going into his castle to save himself. The king is running into his castle to save his life. Right? So from there, the word castle actually came from. Right now, the black king has 3 pawns, 1 rook, 1 bishop, and 1 knight to protect the king. Basically, these pieces are there to protect the king. Talking about the white side, there's only 1 knight, and the pawns which are on top, they're outside. And there's another reason we say we should not do too many pawn moves. Reason because pawns are the only piece on a chessboard which cannot come back, even if we try, come back to G3. We played the pawn on G4 and we want this pawn back to G3. It can't happen. Once played forward, it can never come back. It can never come backward. So that is another reason. Number one, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Nothing. Please continue.
Yeah. So again, what is happening when the pawn is moved once forward, it cannot come back, right? So that is one reason. Second reason is when we are pushing the pawn forward, the pieces of higher value, which is at the backward, which is at behind them, they will get exposed to danger. Like even in this case, if you play some move like knight to e8, some move something like that, or maybe some another move like knight to d7, anything, right? You will see the black side, they're attacking like this, right? The attack is happening. And once these 2 pawns are going to get captured, the next pieces that will be under target will be the king and the knight. These pieces will be next. Once the pawns are gone, these pieces will be next. Another thing, in this position, if black goes with pawn d5, capture, something like this happen. Okay, knight takes, bishop takes. Over here, just see the way the black is infiltrating the white's territory. The way the black is infiltrating the white's territory. The white king is no longer safe anymore, right? No longer safe. Okay, so that is one thing that I wanted to tell you. Like moving pawns is okay in order to control the center or for some defending purpose, but doing too many pawn moves are bad, because if you do too many pawn moves, there's so many pieces. If you see the starting position, even all the big pieces that we are having, they are behind the pawns. Reason, pawns are lesser value piece which can be expended to defend our higher value pieces. So pawns are basically our shields. We should always have them. If we make them go forward, they're gonna get captured and we will left with no protectors. Basically, pawns are protectors. And whenever we are pushing a pawn, we should think at least twice. Okay. So we did 4 points so far regarding opening fundamentals. Any doubt in the 4th point? Don't make too many pawn moves.
No, sir, it's clear.
Clear. Okay. Now let's move on to the 5th point. 5th point is, 5th point says, don't move the same piece twice in the opening. Don't move the same piece twice in the opening. What it meant was, like, let's say we are playing knight on f3, black played pawn to d5. What this point says, never play this knight twice in the opening. First of all, what is opening? What is opening? We are talking about opening fundamentals, but what is opening itself?
Starting of the
Beginning
game,
beginning
first
of the game.
moves.
Starting of the game, first moves. Yes, sir. The white king is no longer safe anymore, right? No longer safe.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing. Okay. But how far this opening will go? Let's say we started the game. Two moves happened. Let's say two moves happened. D4, E5 happened. D4, E5, knight F3, knight C6 happened. These moves happened. Is the opening over, or it is still going?
I think it is until first capture.
Opening goes on till all the pieces are developed. Let's say the game started, things are happening, right? White played d4, capture happened. Right now in move number 3, the capture happened. We captured. Black played this move. We are playing our moves. All the pieces are moving towards the center again. All the pieces are moving towards the center. Yes, sir. Okay. So let's say all the pieces are moving towards the center. Castle happened. And all the pieces are now outside. All the pieces are active and all the pieces are now outside. Rook to e1. Let's all the pieces are outside and all the pieces are developed. Basically, all the pieces are active and they are developed. So in this position, we can say the opening phase is over. There are 3 phases of the game. The 3 phases of a chess game. One is opening. That's the first phase, or we can write phase 1. Phase 1 is the opening. Let's talk about phase 2. Phase 2 is the middle game. Phase 2 is the middle game. And last phase is end game. So these are 3 phases of a chess game. It starts with the opening, right? When the opening ends, when all the pieces are active, the opening is over. That is when the opening gets over. And as soon as the opening part gets over, middle game starts. And when the middle game ends, when all the pieces get captured and we are left with 1 or 2 big pieces, maybe 2 rooks, maybe 1 knight, 1 bishop, we are left with 2 pieces, or maybe 2, 3 big pieces. We say, now we have entered endgame. When there are lesser number of pieces, we say, now we have entered the endgame. Yes? Okay. So the fifth point says, don't play the same piece twice in the opening. So I have showed you what not to do, like this, moving the same knight again and again, what not to do. But why is it? Why we should not move the knight again and again? We played this. Why we should not play the knight again? I want to make my knight go back. Why shouldn't I do this? What is bad in this? What is the harm in doing this move? Yeah.
Yeah, ideally you should develop your pieces. So if you keep moving one piece, then you will get chance to develop your other pieces.
Okay, so if we are gonna move the same pieces, we will lose the chance to play the other pieces, develop other pieces.
And if you're moving the same piece again and again, there won't be any supporting piece for the particular piece. Means like if you're moving the knight again and again, it will be going to the controlled center or to the other side, the opponent, but there won't be any supporting piece for this knight. That may be the issue. We may be losing the knight.
We may be losing the knight. Okay, that is again a good point.
So we have to develop the game with the help of other players as well, because it's a team game. I don't know.
You are right, ma'am. We need to develop the other pieces as well. Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay. So let's discuss about this. We can counter this position. We can counter this statement with different angles. Number one, let's say we are developing the knight again and again, right? We will take an example from the black side. Let's say our normal opening again, d4, I mean e4, e5, knight f3, black played something like knight to c6. Now we will see this bishop moving again and again, and we will see what is the difference that is happening. Let's say white played knight c3, black played bishop to c5. So far, everything is normal because both the sides are moving different pieces in different moves. White played bishop to c4, but now what we are seeing is the black is again playing his bishop back to f8, right? We did a castle. We are not playing the same piece. We are doing something different over here. We played a castle. Black again went to b4. This is the third time the bishop is moving. We played pawn to d4. This time maybe they capture. We capture. Again they played their bishop on e7. We played rook to e1. In this position, if I have to ask you, who is winning the game? What will you think? Like, according to you guys, what do you think? Who is winning the game over here? Yes, parents. In this position, please analyze this position and tell me who is winning, white or black?
White.
is winning.
Yeah, because already controlling the center, like, more pieces in the center. So like if we go with the first rule, like, control the center or move your pieces towards center. So that's what white is doing, not black.
Agreed.
Okay. So I got one reason, that is white is already controlling the center. That is why white is winning. Any other point?
As
Develop
it
the
is
pieces
control.
and have castled early.
And that castle. Okay. That's nice. I would like to add one more point to these statements.
The pieces
Yes,
which white has moved are more on an attacking mode compared to the black ones
yes.
because they have more area of control.
They have more area over control. Yes, that's nice. Again, let's understand this with an example. Let's say there are two kings attacking each other. One king has an active army, and the other king's army is sleeping right now. It's night time, and one army is sleeping, and another army is on the move. Definitely, the army who is on the move, they have the advantage, right? Because it will take some time for the other army who is sleeping. It will take some time for the sleeping army to actually wake up and then counter attack, right? It will take some time. They need to wake up, they need to get their weapons, and then they will start counter attacking. They will plan and then they will attack. But the army which is already on move, they have the time advantage. In chess, we say move advantage. They have more number of moves. In real life, it will be time advantage. They have more time, basically. The army which is already on move, they are prepared for anything that might happen. But the army which is sleeping, they need to get up, they need to get their weapons, they need to plan, and they need to counter attack. But for white, everything is already laid out. If we see, white is white is almost ready to do a checkmate. All the pieces are, first of all, the pieces are ready to attack the king. The pieces are ready to attack the king. Queen f3, a checkmate is happening over here. A possible checkmate might happen. Then bishop to g, bishop to f4, few other moves are there which will help us. If we see the direction of attack that our pieces are doing, it's on the king side, right? If you see the attacks that are happening, it's phenomenal. It's wonderful, basically, I will say. The pieces are active and they are on the move. The white pieces are active and they are on the move. They are prepared for anything. Whatever structure that black might come up with, white is ready to counter attack because the army is already in move. Talking about the black pieces, the bishop, the rook, the knight, they are still in sleeping mode. They are still sleeping. They haven't went to any active squares yet. Talking about the white side, white just need to put the bishop outside, either on e3 or in f4, anywhere, and then queen f3. All the pieces are active. Within 2 moves, every single piece of white is ready to attack. So let's do 1 or 2 moves over here. Let's say black played something like pawn d6, white played queen to f2, or maybe bishop to f4. All good. Knight f6. And now pawn push. It's a possibility, or even the pawn push is not happening. You will see the d file is controlled by the queen. The rook is attacking the e file. If you, let's say, if you push the pawn forward, pawn push, pawn takes, bishop takes, knight takes, and the rook takes, you will see again the white pieces are wandering near the center. All the white pieces are near the center, and it is like even if we have a first glance on this position, we will see, okay, white is better. Why white is better? Because white pieces are on the center or near the center, or basically we can say more active. Yes. So this is what we can say. If a chess player is playing a piece twice or more than twice, he will lose his moves, right? He will lose his moves, and in that same move, the opponent, the other person, the other chess player will develop more piece. That is the simplest reason. Let's say black is occupied in playing his bishop and again and again. So while the black is wasting his move, white will use this as an opportunity, and white will develop more of its pieces like this. Any questions for point number 5? Any
No,
questions
sir.
of point number 5? Why shouldn't we play the piece twice or more than twice? Okay. So now it's time for our final point, the final point, which is a 6th point. It says to not develop the queen early. Okay, this is a nice point. And many students I've seen they're doing this all the time. All the time they try to do a scholar's checkmate. I will tell you what a scholar checkmate is too. So what the last point says, never develop your queen early, right? I have seen many students, they go for this kind of trick. They do this. What they do, they play e4, they play e5, and after that, they play bishop c4, knight to c6, and they play queen to h5. They do this move. Idea, they say, if my opponent will do a bad move, such as knight to f6, I will do a quick checkmate like this. Is it a checkmate? Is it a checkmate? Did the black king got checkmate?
Yes, it is.
It is a checkmate. So what I'm saying is most of the players, they are fan of this checkmate. They always do this checkmate a lot. They say, okay, the knight is outside, let's play a queen on f3. Let's do a quick checkmate over here. They fall for these kinds of tricks and they go for this. But the idea of making the queen develop early is not actually good. Reason, let's say e4, e5, we played bishop, the opponent played like knight to c6, and now we are following the plan. The plan is to do a checkmate on f7. This is the plan. We are following it. Now black played knight to f6. The plan is not working anymore. The plan is not working. Let's say now white will do something like knight to c3. Black plays pawn d6, d3. These moves are happening, and black plays bishop to g4. What we can see is in every move, black was developing a new piece, right? In every move, black was developing a new piece, and white too. But what happened in here, because the white queen is a very valuable piece, like how many points do a queen have? How many points do a queen have?
9.
9 points. A 9-pointer queen is outside the pawns, like it is on top of the pawns. It's outside, it is developed, it is active. So black said, okay, let me use my 3-pointer bishop and let me attack the queen with the support of knight. The knight is supporting the bishop. If the queen tries to take the bishop, the knight will take the queen. It will be a big loss for white. It will be a big loss for white. So in this position, what white should do? What should white do? What white should do?
The queen should be in its position, back to its position.
If we play the queen back to its position, again the bishop can capture.
Queen to g3.
Queen to g3. The queen is safe on g3.
Yes,
The queen
sir.
is safe on g3. But there is one thing we need to think of. We played the bishop on g4. Black played a different piece over here, and white played the same piece again. Can we say the black side forced the white color to play his piece twice. Can we say this?
Yes.
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 Because of this reason, because black is able to waste white's move without doing any extra effort. Bishop is again getting developed and moving towards the center. Bishop is following the opening fundamentals that we have learned. Without breaking any rule, black forced white to waste one of his move. And as soon as they wasted one move, the bishop will go to e7 and black is ready for castle. Otherwise, there's another plan, like the queen can go to d7, and now the black queen can go to d7. Why? Because three pieces are already activated, and the black queen will do a long castle. So over here, the idea will work of developing the queen early. But even now in this position, you will see the queen is not going outside the border. Basically, it is not going outside its pawn structure. The pawns are still covering for the queen. The pawns are still covering for the queen. They're still the pawns. But on the white side, the pawns are behind the queen. In the black case, the pawns are still covering the queen. There's a difference between both the queens. One queen is well covered, the other queen is exposed. Yes? And because the queen was exposed, what black was capable to do, what black was able to do, black was able to waste white's move over here. Black was able to waste white's move over here. So it is recommended we should not develop the queen early. If you would have not developed the queen early in the game, if you would have played just knight f3, even if the bishop comes to g5, g4, basically, nothing is happening. It's all right. Knight and bishop, they both are 3 pointers, right? Let's say white did a castle. Even if the bishop takes the knight, it's all right. It's all right. Why it's all right? Because black got a 3-pointer knight, and black got a 3-pointer knight, white got a 3-pointer bishop. So it's equal, right? So there's nothing to worry about. Now it is okay to develop the queen. Why? Because they captured our knight and we are defending our knight. That's what the queen got on f3. Yes. First thing is develop your lesser value pieces, develop your knight, develop your bishops, and when these two pieces are developed, then develop the queen. Any doubts in any points that we have covered so far, everyone?
No doubt.
No, sir.
No doubts. So that was all about the opening fundamentals. That was all about our topic for today's session. Yes. Okay. So now Abhas sir will tell us more about the tournament that we are about to, that is about to happen in the near future. So yeah, Abhas sir.
I want to ask one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, like I missed the last session. I don't know what happened. So can you put an overview, or if you can provide the recording or any minutes of the meeting would be helpful for me to understand. Because as far as I personally concerned, I need to know the values of the pieces, which I'm not aware much. Only my son plays, so I've never tried to understand earlier. But today I thought, okay, it is good to understand all those things as well.
Yeah, no worries, ma'am. The thing is, ma'am, like all the notes have already been shared in the WhatsApp group. And there is a YouTube video as well. If you search Premier Chess Academy in our YouTube, there's a YouTube channel. Over there, we have provided, like we have some videos related to the sessions that we already did. So you can check that out. Yes, ma'am. And we will again share the notes in the WhatsApp group so you can check. There's a WhatsApp group by the name of Parental Fiesta. We will update every notes over there.
Yeah, maybe I joined it late. I don't know. So it will be good. I will appreciate if you can share it again. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am. We will share it again. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Any more doubts, parents?
No doubts, please.
Okay. Yes. Abbas, sir, you can continue.
Thank you, sir. So parents, just some small updates regarding the main tournament of Parental Chess Fiesta. The registration is open. A few of the parents have already registered. So for the registration, you just need to fill a form and then create a Lichess account and send the request to join the team. So we have shared the step-by-step process in the group. Today after the session, I'll post it again. So you can just follow the same process and be the part of the main tournament. And also one very important thing, please use your own Leeches account. If you haven't made one, please make it, because we got several requests from kids Leeches accounts. That is not accepted. So parents, please use your own accounts. Any questions, anyone with registration?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I have created an account and I have given the request also. But
Okay.
still it is not been approved or it is not yet updated in the Excel also. I have checked the Excel also. Can you just clarify that more?
Sure, ma'am. So we'll check that again and we'll update it in the Excel.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
sir,
ma'am.
sure.
We got the request, I guess, today itself. Today morning around 2 p.m. IST, we got the request. So today's
Yeah, I
request are not
can
yet
get-
accepted. We'll do it today.
Okay, sir. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have the regular tournaments that can be played in our License account, like as the kids do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, anyone?
No questions. It's just a testing for the parents as well.
We'll call it back to school.
Okay, thank you. No,
Yeah.
it's a good opportunity to learn. Like, I never tried it earlier.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
No, and one more thing to add, like, I can see like Abbas sir, Abhishek sir, they are like, doing it very seriously. It's just like a step by step. It's not like, parents in just like a formality, but I can see like, seriousness from their side. So that is appreciated. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you,
That's why
sir.
I said it's a testing for us.
Thank you for giving
Thank
so
you
much
so
of
much.
information. It's really highly appreciated.
Thank you, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, and today was the last session for beginners. So we have covered all the beginners topics. For the next session, the topic is, and it's an interesting topic, about middle game. Like today, Abhishek sir told, we have 3 stages: opening, middle game, end game. So opening is quite easy because we have certain fundamentals laid out, which we have to follow. But in the middle game, we don't have any such fundamentals, and nowhere is written that what you have to do in the middle game. So here is a small task, completely optional. Think about it, how to play the middle game. What could be the fundamentals, or what could be the right approach of playing the middle game? And we'll be covering that on Sunday. First of all, we'll discuss about it. Whoever has a point can discuss, and then we'll cover it next Sunday. So from next Sunday, we'll start with some of the advanced topics, like just middle game strategy.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank
I'll be
you.
happy to
Sure.
attend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same time, no?
Yes, ma'am, same time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Asha, ma'am, by the way, who's your coach?
I think now Samajit.
Okay, so we'll ask Amjit sir to share you the class notes for all the beginners topics.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so that's all for today. Anything else, anyone?
Nothing from my side. Thank you so much.
Actually, we have to practice now. We have
Yes,
just
ma'am.
taken the theoretical class.
Yeah, we also have that coming up. So before the main event, we have a practice session also. So in which we will have a simul. It's like basically one coach will play against all the parents at the same time. So we have it coming up. Yeah.
Okay, great. Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
So thanks for the sir and Abhishek sir. Every points were like crystal clear and it's on point. So thank you for making us. And Sunday is great these days because we get to know so much. So it is highly appreciated. Like the PCA, and the credit goes to PCA. Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
ma'am.
Both of
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, parents.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.